Hey folks, Farm Tour Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. We've got a lot of clouds, but we're not supposed to get any rain until Wednesday. No, Thursday now. They bumped it to Thursday. We're supposed to get some all week, and then they just keep bumping it back. So we've got like 80% chance on Thursday. We really could use some, so I hope it actually does happen. I'm over here with Dottie and Oatmeal, so let's spin you around. So, they are starting to bag up a bit. Kind of like just here within the last day or so, it's really started to fill out some. So I'm hopeful that we are not far off now. How about that, Mom? Yeah. What do you think? And as soon as they do show a little bit more signs and get just a little bit closer, neither one of them is puffy back there yet, but when they do, we'll go ahead and shut one of them in here, and then the other one will get the L. So it's whoever goes first gets the short end of the stick, actually. And then I'll need to add a barrel into this yard because their barrel is over there. So, all right, let's go ahead and keep rolling on then. All right, so we got these 4 moved over. Came from here. So they are now moved into 4 and 5, and Ginger's already up at the pond. She just went kind of like straight there, and Biscuit's in the hut. I don't know if you can see her in there. So yeah, they did some. They've got, you know, tons of pasture space now here. I mean, they had a lot, but they did some damage while they were in here. So talk over here. Oh, hey. Baby pumpkins. So this is what I say, like, pigs do damage my trees. That's why we have to have the cages, and the cages don't always work. Occasionally they just get a wild hair up their butt and they decide to destroy stuff. So this one was a pretty decent sized, like, you know, almost baseball bat handle in a couple spots there. And just snapped it right off. So the nice thing is that, like, it will sprout up from the base, and you can see it has already started to do that right here. That's what this is. This is a little willow sprout. So it will in effect coppice itself, but the problem is with coppice out in the field, the pigs eat when they rotate into these paddocks, they eat the coppice. Right, I mean, we want them to. Normally, that's why we do the pollards, because you can see that's what they've done here. They've chewed these off right here while they were eating the grass right there. You can see the big bite mark there, which is fine, because then they get the shade, right? And they save me the hassle of stripping it down. And you can see they've done it with another one here. Now, this one had already been stripped of a piece of bark going up it last year. And it did not handle, either didn't handle the frost, or they got it earlier this week and has just been down for a little longer than I realized. A lot of the other ones are doing all right. We did get a secondary frost. I also needed to plant some more, but everything is so dry out here now because we haven't got rain in, oh man, I may need to double check, but like decent rain in going on 2 weeks. Yeah, like we need some rain now. It is spring. We should be soaking wet right now, and we're not. So I'm not looking forward to this summer if this is what it's going to continue to do. But I didn't wind up planting any of the rest of the willow cuttings from the backyard coppice because it just got so dry I couldn't drive them in anymore. Even this boggy area that less than a month ago, I filmed, there's Ginger. I filmed a bunch of like me wading through almost to the top of my boots with some toad eggs right there. So, like, yeah, that has dropped down a lot. This should all be full of water this time of year, but it's not. So not gonna bode well for this summer to come. And especially since we lost a couple of trees here that'll reduce their shade in this one. These, I mean, there's enough other ones in here that'll be all right. And one of the apples did good and there's a mulberry over there. So in the coming years, they're gonna have more shade, and I'm gonna still plant some more of those oaks up towards the top. But this apple did pretty good. But that frost that we got, you can see this mulberry, it's killed back the leaves. It's done that to pretty well all of them, and all of the oaks and the chestnuts, it did that too. So, and that's actually why we lost the grafts on the chestnuts the first year we put them in, is because we had a late frost and they'd already had like a foot of growth, and then that frost killed them, killed the grafts, and made them start back up from the base. But now those bases got frosted because they'd had 4 inches of growth. So yeah, not and this is, I haven't fed the feeders yet. They're moving through that gate into this paddock here, so they will get that area. This will get a week's worth of rest while they're in that one, and then they'll come in here, which it's not bad. It'll definitely stand the rest. It'll be good for it, but it's not like if they were to come in here right now, I think it would cause too many issues. Beyond, it'll be nice to see if some more grass can sprout up here. There's a lot of it that was starting to come up, and some clover I just saw that is starting to germinate and come up, hopefully. And it's coming up all over. Hopefully that can kind of fill in, but we're gonna need some of this rain that, like I said, they keep bumping back. But yeah, everybody's more interested in exploring than they are eating their food. A lot of things seem to be fine though, like the Osage handled it pretty well, the late frost. The adult trees handled it really well. It's just all saplings or coppiced stuff that seems to have struggled. And a couple of the oaks weren't that bad off. Like that right there is a swamp white oak. It's actually the Bucks Unlimited graft. It's one of the few, I think we had like 5 or 6 out of 14 of those grafts survive. It's good. It's in a great spot, so I hope it continues to thrive and take off. Maz, are you gonna try to steal their food? You swam around. It's worth it. Pretty dry for having swam around. How did you get around? Okay, we're gonna stop now, and I'm gonna go figure out how Maze got in this paddock. Okay, that was easy. She just crawled under the gate. Yeah? You're a troublesome butt. You're a troublesome butt. Mm-hmm. There you are. Okay, well, that's why you're not wet. Good thing a pig can't squeeze under that. Well, actually, I know that one little feeder gilt can. She did it a week or 2 ago. Oh, yep. And here's this seedling persimmon that I touched in last week's video. Oh. What do you guys think, huh? What do you think? Oh, we'll get to see now whether or not Biscuit swims across and winds up in this paddock. I think this is the first time since getting that final solution in place that Biscuit has had access to this paddock. So, well, not the one I'm standing in, but the one that then connects. I see them over there. Oh, that's Payday. Biscuit's with him, but they can go down to the pond there. And of course, I mean, that's how they drink in this paddock, and they've got a nice wallow that they've shallowed out right there. But everybody is on me. Yes. 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 All but one. Oh my gosh, guys. Oh, and a fun thing. So after I got done filming last week's Farm Tour Tuesday, I sat up here for a while and was playing with Mazikeen and Venus, and I watched a belted kingfisher swim down and snack up out of the pond. So that was super cool. I've yet to see a belted kingfisher out here. Normally they like a lot denser brush. I mean, I guess we have plenty of brush, but like I normally see them when I'm at like really forested creeks. Oh my God, you guys, you're an asshole. So that was neat. We do have a bunch of minnows that have really established themselves in here. We introduced them early last spring, and now they're really taking off. Every time I've tried to get a little video of them though, they dart off. But there's a pretty good population going. You can kind of see the little ripples on the water. That's a bunch of them. So I guess that's what he was after. All right. Keep moving on. I'm sure those feeders would appreciate being moved. And then I need to still go do the boys. Oh, and we got to feed Dose and her 11 babies. Because I soak her feed. So I feed the other 2 sets of breeders before I feed her. So that way her stuff has time to soak up. So, okay. Yeah, no, actually I wanted to show one other thing. With all this dirt, hard packed dirt, which I'd really hoped to be full of grass. And if we'd had the rain, it would be. Like you can see everything started to sprout and is there, but it just doesn't have enough grass or rain to really get growing. This should have all already been green, but they're just solid cracks. And it has caused a couple of grafts or ones to really be sluggish, and everything else. So some of these did okay though. Like this area did fine. It tolerated the frosting good. Like no real issues. This is when I just planted the Shiz curly willow. There's a curly willow that the top died. That's just what I want to show you was. But these curly willows and everything down here in this little bottom area did fine. It was really just everything. Well, over in the garden, those willows got hit pretty hard. That persimmon did. So, I don't know. It's just kind of hit or miss as to what got affected and what did not. I can't wait to see this. This should be flooded. That's why there's not as much established grass in this area. I expect it. You can see, grab that bucket, show you what I mean. This area is normally flooded and has been a muddy marsh all spring. But the slightly higher up area, the grass is really starting to come back in. You remember seeing this was pretty bare. And there are still the patches of bare in between, like this area straight back from the gate. But this is a little low where it flows down to that. So again, real marshy. But then here, and these are all just big fescue clumps. And then the dock. So, and this has had pigs off it for a little while now. There's a killdeer and her 3 babies. Just see there they are, going behind that messed up cage. Just the baby killdeers. One there, and then there's her. But yeah, so these are some of those sawtooths we just got planted, and some of their buds are real messed up now. If any of you are pretty serious silviculturalists or arborists, horticulturalists, and know what kind of bug causes this on my oak, that'd be stellar. I'd love to know what did that. This is the only tree they did it to. And for record, the little holes are new. All last year when I watched them, they were not holes. They were just solid growth. So whatever larva it is has hatched out for this spring. So yeah, and then I gotta cut these are where, oh no. There we go. These are where the pigs had messed up a couple of trees. So this one, that one over there, and that one there. And so I just pushed the cages back because I didn't bring wire cutters with me when I came out here, unfortunately. Oh, and I still need to do more leaky weirs. I've got the wood carried out here a month or 2 ago, actually. But I've got it out here and need to get it stacked up for those. All these projects. I got all the cages moved out here. This is completely dry. Completely dry. You can see the cardboard. I like to try to fill the wallows in over the winter. So we'll take any cardboard that I get from job sites and stuff like that that doesn't really have anything on them and put the cardboard in the bottoms of the wallows and stomp them in, and they usually break down. But usually the spring wallows are completely full of water. It's not normally a problem. All right, this is actually going to be really hard to hold the phone and make it through. Nope, okay. But yeah, thought I'd catch up through this and show you that like our Oregon willows have done seemingly fine with that frost, but directly next to them, these guys all got damaged in that frost. You can see there's nothing dead. So they'll send up new sprouts. I'm not that worried, but it just sucks to set them back like that. But the hazelnut's gotten no damage, absolutely nothing. They all look great still. So I guess hazelnuts are just really frost tolerant. Yeah. All right, let's go do dose. Okay, so here's dose. I've had to start spreading some of her stuff outside of her pan because the piglets are then trying to climb into it while she's eating, and she just tosses them out. So, oh, you can see that one teat that was that weird middle one has like shrunken between the others. But there we go. Yeah, her chunky little babies are doing good except for that one that we lost last week. So yeah, all the other 11 are good, and I need to catch them, bring them up, eval them, and castrate the boys that are gonna get castrated. So I gotta do that this week because now they're all 3 weeks and they're gonna be a handful. Or 4 weeks now? Was this the 25th? So yeah, because it was the 27th. So they're 4 weeks. They're 4 weeks old. And there is a noticeable runt in here. I will point that out too. Right there, this little one, which is funny. This is the first one to come for food every time I come out here with food. And it's very friendly. Yeah. But it is exceedingly noticeably runty. Like far and away smaller than all of its siblings. And there are a couple other that are fairly small, but not like that. That one, honestly, he reminds me a lot of this one we'd had named Todd. Yeah. Everyone's a little skittish because they just had to run one out. They've figured out how to get in and out. Their mom has pulled up some of the chicken wire, so they're getting in and out. So I'm gonna have to repair that. My plan had been to do this all with hog panels before this season had come in, but oh yeah, it seems like there are more projects and jobs to do than there is time. All right, well, before those guys mutiny, I'm gonna move on to getting their feed and moving them. So we're over here feeding the boys, and I'm looking at all the mulberries in the side yard too, and I will be amazed if we get mulberries this year, because that frost has made them look just as squishy as the leaves. So fingers crossed. That is a big amount of food for all the birds around here and everything else that relies on it, including the pigs. They enjoy mulberries. Oh my gosh, I know, so scary. So as he's gotten bigger, that wattle has seemed less and less well attached. Now he's going to be way away from us. We're not going to be able to see it. Trunk is doing good. But right at the neck, where this wattle seems, it's not like stringy dangly, but it's not as like it bounces around. So it's interesting. All right, that's it with them. No new changes beyond Red. I'm setting an appointment for him to go in, and he'll be a kill and chill. And if he has smell, it'll be the same thing as with Toast, except I will cure a lot less of it. Most of him will just become dog food because I don't have, we actually had our fridge went out that we'd been curing stuff in. So that's a fun update. That fridge went out. Thankfully the salami was done. I went ahead and weighed it and was like, oh, it actually went a little over, so I was okay. And all the rest of the stuff, we just moved it to a cooler, humid room in the house, and kind of tarped it off so it doesn't get any like cat hair on it because our house is very dusty. but you know, it's got the casing on it. The mold still seems to be happy on it. Not as happy as it could be, but once we clear out enough space, we're moving our new fridge in from the garage, and I'll take the old fridge and just convert it. But until then, I think we're going to be all right. I've been checking it daily, and it still seems fine. So yeah, just lots of fun stuff happening around here. And I guess while we're on the topic of fun stuff, still no takers for the sows or for those 5 feeders. I guess I need to make more posts for the whole and half hogs. But the sows are more what I'm concerned with, right? Because they've got kind of now that Oatmeal and Dottie are really starting to look close. That sets a bigger ticking time bomb for that one. I don't want to keep Biscuit around longer than half of her farrowing. So then I won't worry about her aborting, mid-transport if it's a longer transport or if it's hot. So that kind of sets her at 7 weeks because she went in last week from now. And those gals, if they are still a week out and then 6 weeks to wean, that's sets me at 7 weeks there too. And Dose, if I don't hear anything from her, she'll just very obviously go to the processor. Like, I'm not even going to play with that. So unless I have someone really interested, she's going to the processor at this point, if no one's going to take the others. Which, like I said in the last Farm Tour Tuesday, and I've said in the posts, if you take all 5 of the pigs available, Payday and those 4 ladies, I'm only asking $8,000, and I will drive them anywhere. That is a heck of a discount. That's less than $2,000 for several of those. Like, yeah, because if you were to add everybody up as it was like $10,000, and so it's $2,000 off that, and I'm willing to drive them. Which, if I were to drive to, as far as, I usually just plug in Portland because it's far enough away that I know that we're about halfway to there, or to New York or any of those other states, those distances, that's like $2,000 in gas. So I will effectively only make like 6 off of it. So that's a heck of a deal. Like, I can't even, I don't know, folks. All right, before we get to sounding too sad here or anything, let's move on to the feeders. All right, we'll look away, ma'am. There are all 5 of the big ones, 6 of the small ones. 2 of the smaller ones will go away in about 2 weeks, because we're gonna scald and scrape 2 more for a pair of hog roasts we're gonna do. One for Kate's graduation, one for Mother's Day. Yeah, so we'll pick out 2 of those. Yeah, so then we'll be down to 4 of those. But I do need to take these 5 big ones into the processor. They are all right about perfect. Cupcake is a little bit big, but the others are hitting right at about 250. So we're doing great there. Here's the paddock they're in. We looked at it from the other side. I can show you what those chestnuts look like. Let's see. Crunchy. Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. And then there is, I had pointed it out last time, there is a decent amount of hemlock in here. And there always has been. This paddock, oh, there goes a bunny. This paddock actually used to be, are you just gonna sit there? Okay, how's it going? This whole area used to be, and that's really what started this spot being so bare. Every bare spot, they've got a story for why it's bare. This one is because we actually with a lot of spots, it's really because we had chickens, but they definitely add fertility, but they can also kill the ground in a very short time period and takes years to come back. But the chickens and our old pigs, which I seem to always blame everything on, really turned this area over good. I mean, you can see it, right? Like, this is this high area. The front is pacing and where we put bales, but this like perfect circle on top. So I put the shelters here and everything. This was solid hemlock, and you can see it comes up in the fence row where nobody can get to it. But the sheep used to eat it to an extent without any issues. And the pigs will sometimes nibble on it. They'll never, more than anything, they tromp on it. And they just break it into the ground. And no, like I said, it is toxic, but I have never lost a pig to it. Now the bunny's gonna go. And I never lost a sheep to it either. So I don't worry about it too much. We have weed eated it down in the past, but when I do that, I usually wait for it to get close to seed stage, and then I come out here and weed eat it down. Because then it's put all of its effort into that and pulled up as much reserves as it can to try to set seed real quick and then knock it down. And that has really seemed to help. Like, that's why there's nowhere near as much of it as there used to be. And a lot of this, like, it fans out, so it takes up more space than it actually is. Really, there's a lot of chickweed and a lot of dock and fescue in here. So it's a pretty mixed stand of it. And it gets thinner and thinner every year, and it gets pushed more and more out to the edges every year. But they have a nice paddock to come into here. And this is that paddock that I was really worried that we had overgrazed last year. So, yeah, not doing too bad. Beyond, a lot of our trees are pretty roughed up. This is actually, this was supposed to be sawtooth oak, but that looks more like apple. This is the complete wrong spot for it. Interesting. I don't know. That was supposed to be sawtooth oak. This one is for sure. You see those nice serrated leaves, longer, and most importantly, cluster of buds at the tip. I don't know. That's weird for that to be in that spot. But there's not a lot of these that made it. A lot of these were plantings we got from a couple of different nurseries, and man, some of these nurseries just really disappoint. And I know I don't treat trees real well either. I do, for the most part, I do a method that Mark Shepard out at Restoration Ag has come up with, and it's really what everybody else has always done forever. But it's called stun, sheer total utter neglect. And I feel like I do a pretty crappy job of stun, right? Because I give everything cages, except the willows, and they get tubes. But if I don't do tubes, then the rabbits just chew them off the ground. So, in the cages, the pigs tear them down. So if I don't give them a cage, and even sometimes with the cages they do. But I feel like we do that, and it just means that I have to plant a lot of trees. But the ones who do make it are absolutely stellar and do fantastic. That's just selecting for the best genetics, which is the purpose of stun. You can see here, this is one of the grafts that did make it of that Bucks Unlimited. But then there's some rootstock. I should pull up this tube and cut that rootstock one off. Here's one of the ones that the graft failed last year. So like way early in the year. So then we let the rootstock come up. So this will be a swamp white. Nice thing about letting those ones that are like that, when they come up, we're at least guaranteed these will fruit. They'll take them forever. I mean, swamp white's pretty quick. Like, we're looking at 10 years versus 20 for a typical white oak. But when that happens with our mulberries, she didn't have any grafted mulberries yet. But especially when it happens to our persimmons, that's really rough because I had a lot of grafted persimmon varieties, and persimmons are a male and female species. So we have no clue whether or not we're going to get something that produces fruit or just takes up space, because there are plenty of wild males around. I'm not worried about having to plant them. But yeah, honestly, like, that's kind of it, guys. Like, I know I feel like it. I feel like I sound real mopey right now, so I hope anybody has even made it through this episode. It just feels like kind of sucky, right? We had this late frost. It's going to have knocked out it. We did lose a ton of trees to it. So, and we're in the middle of a spring drought, right? I mean, our ground shouldn't be this cracked. I should still be flooded right now. I'll look it up later and see what it says, like, but I know other places around town have gotten a decent amount of rain, so it's not just us, or I mean, it's not like, you know, statewide or area-wide. It's just like our property keeps getting dodged, or well, this area, because our neighbors too, of course, but you know, like we're just not getting a lot of rain. There goes Maz back under the gate to go visit the pigs. Struggle fest. There you go. And then on top of that, with not having any, we'd had a couple people interested, and then they'd had to back out for various reasons on the sows. So being like, man, I can't even move my sows. Feeder pigs aren't moving, which is why where we were downsizing in the first place, is we're struggling to sell feeder pigs as either retail cuts or whole and halves. And I do have a couple dedicated customers that have they buy every couple weeks. They buy some retail cuts. But unless I take in some of these and get them USDA inspected, which I will have to get one because I've miscalculated the amount of burger and other cuts like roasts for USDA for me to take to the show, because I'm doing the cooking for the show and I'm donating the pork. So we're going to do burgers one day and pulled pork the next day. And I guess that was another thing. I also had one of our freezers. I accidentally got unplugged. And so I lost a freezer worth of, it was about a third of a freezer's worth of USDA meat. So that really sucked. It was all still super cold and everything in there, but we can't sell it. So I lost it for its sellability. We're still eating it, and we're feeding a lot of it to the dogs that I'm like, I can't, you were out towards the edges. So yeah, it's just a lot of stuff, a lot of frustrating stuff lately that is reminding me why we're downsizing in the first place, is because of how difficult a lot of this stuff is getting to be. And I've got a couple other farmer friends now who've had to get town jobs and stop, that were full-time farmers. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Well, before I dwell on it any longer, I still have to go fill everybody's water barrels. So thank you to our Patreon supporters. With all of the other stuff going on that bums me out right now, every time I stop and think about that, I know I don't give you guys as much content or anything as I really should be, and I need to call you for the month, Raymond and Ashley, but seriously, you guys perk me up every time I think of it. It just makes me so happy. And all of you guys that comment, Kylie, Todd, oh my gosh, so many of you, Gabriel, you guys are all awesome. So seriously, you guys perk me up. It makes me really happy when you guys chip in. So if you guys made it to the end of this, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I super appreciate you. All the rest of you know that you are also appreciated. Every time I hop on and see that there are people that do watch our content, even if I know some of them are just people that click off, that does put a little smile on my face. So thank you guys. I could definitely use it this week. You guys have a great one.